let's jump into the meat of this conversation. In this movie, The Ark and the Darkness, you all give several clear and concrete evidences of the reality of the Ark and the floods.
Oh boy, I'm glad to finally hear concrete evidence for a global Noah's flood. Today we're back with Allan Parr and Dr. Biddle. We're going to see their evidence for a global flood that occurred about 4,000 years ago and wiped out all life on Earth. Let's see what they have to say today.
Just start with one of those, any one you want, and let's just break down what's some of the concrete evidence that we can look at, explain in a real practical, easy and simple way.
There is none. Thanks for watching. Please make sure to subscribe and... Okay, I guess we should look to see what they have to say. Keep rolling.
Yeah, sure. So I think the most practical, straightforward thing that is, to me, the most convincing about the flood is simply this, is that I've been to places and seen things that I can't unsee.
Let me translate for people that are not young Earth creationists or former young Earth creationists. What he's saying is he saw something that he can't explain. And instead of using science to gather information and try to learn more about it, he just, because God's it. Let's look at his qualifications. Here they are on the screen. You may notice that none of these are degrees in science. So he is not an expert at all in what he's presenting. Now, I will admit that I do not have a degree in science. Mine is actually in social work. However, I do have a very big interest in science, and I'm always researching and gathering evidence and trying to learn more. I can find many ways to debunk this subject just with a simple Google search, and I can learn from people that are much smarter than me.
And places in Canada and Montana where there's a 14-mile spread with tens of thousands of dead dinosaurs buried under 50 foot of mud, along with fish and clams and marine life that is unfathomably huge, and they're under 50 feet of mud or 100 feet of mud.
So some dinosaurs found in one specific area of the world that experienced some flooding is now evidence of a global flood? If the entire Earth was flooded and buried all of the dinosaurs, wouldn't you expect there to be one complete layer across the entire world?
But imagine this, 14 miles, and it's not 100 dead dinosaurs buried under one mound. It's 14 miles as far as you can see, and there's tens of thousands of dinosaurs buried.
So imagine this. Noah's flood is a real thing, and it buries dinosaurs in one complete layer across the entire world. Scientists later start to dig them up. They compare notes, and they realize the entire Earth is covered in dinosaur fossils. They then start to question some previously held beliefs. One of them remembers his Sunday school classes where he learned about Noah's flood. They start to seriously consider if everything that we believe is not true. Since we only have a small part of the country where we discovered these dinosaur bed fossils, this is in no way evidence for a worldwide global flood.
So entire herds of these creatures, and these are creatures that are 30 feet long.
Well, some are, but most dinosaurs are in between a modern-day rhinoceros and an elephant, which puts them between 9 and 24 feet.
And so I had to ask myself the question, okay, well, if I'm looking at a 14-mile long stretch of mud pit, how much higher did the water have to be to bury 14-mile spread worth of dinosaurs under 100 feet of mud?
Is it 50 feet or 100 feet? Because the amount of mud is going to change how much you need. If you can have a consistent amount that you believe in, then I'm sure the math is easy for those that are good at math.
And then you look at the Morrison Formation in the middle of America. It's 13 interconnected states that span 600,000 square miles, and it's the same thing there.
So it's a lot of dinosaurs spanning a large area, but it's still a local area. Also to add, you may notice there's no human remains found within these fossil beds, despite the young Earth creationist claim that humans and dinosaurs lived together.
It's millions of dead dinosaurs buried with billions of marine creature fossils all together in the middle of America, from Texas to the Dakotas to Montana, Wyoming. That whole area is a dinosaur mud pit.
I really don't like giving the same evidence in the same speech over and over, so let me ask you something. Why do no non-young Earth creationist scientists, many who are Christian, think this is evidence for a worldwide flood? I mean, have you even bothered to do some reading about what scientists think about this?
And most people don't know that. But when you look at that, I just had to think, oh my gosh, how much water had to come over this region to bury that many dinosaurs over a 13-mile spread?
Well, this is at least the third time that you've asked this question with no indication that you've sought out the answer. This leads me to believe that you are in no way a scientist or even a science-minded person. Why don't you go seek out the information and answer the question? I'll wait. Oh, you're not going to. Okay, moving on.
Dinosaurs, for me, were most convincing on a big way when you look at the dinosaur taphonomy or study the way in which these dinosaurs are buried.
How? You don't understand the difference between the entire world being covered in fossils and a small area of the world being covered in fossils. You don't even know how much mud is covering everything. You don't know how it could have happened, and you don't bother to learn this information. Apparently it's not too much because scientists think it was caused by a flood that happened after a drought and combined with some volcanic eruptions. You're also mistaken in believing that all 50 to 100 feet would have had to have come at one time. Remember, this happened 65 million years ago or more. Unless you have radiometric dating proof, which you don't believe in, which shows it was one layer laid down at one time. Thank you once again for joining me here at Real Life Struggles and going on our journey. If you do like the video, it would be great if you could like and share, and if you're not already, hit the subscribe button. In our next video, we'll be looking at more evidence for the global flood, and we'll see, does it hold up or not. They then start to, but since we only have a small part of the country where we're